Motion's been made by Mr. Ross, seconded by Ms. Lindsay. All those in favor?
Someone needs to pay.
Aye.
Aye. I'm getting feedback on this. Does this? No, you're good, but we're getting feedback.
Now, testing. Thank you so much. We appreciate your understanding. All right, we're good. Thank you so much. So the motion has been made by Mr. Ross, seconded by Ms. Lindsay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Everyone is in favor. Anyone opposed? No. The motion carries with all five agreed.
And we have to do roll call, Miss Harvey.
Okay, was that a question or?
No, that's a statement.
Thank you so much. We'll do roll call vote on all votes today. Thank you.
Board Member Lindsay.
Aye.
Board Member Miyakawa.
Aye.
Board Member Raw.
Aye.
Board Member Talcott.
Aye.
Board President Harvey.
Aye. And the motion carries. Thank you. All right, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're now moving on to 8A, Student Discipline Matter, Student AH07. And this is a roll call vote. Oh, sorry.
To approve the recommendation of the administrative hearing panel.
Motion's been made to approve the recommendation of the administration hearing panel, second by Ms. Talcott. All those roll call vote. Roll call vote.
Board Member Lindsay. Board Member Raw. Board Member Talcott. Board Member Miyakawa.
Aye.
Board President Harvey.
Aye. The motion has. Thank you. Communications. We are now moving on.
There are no written communications.
Okay, superintendent update.
No, we're going to do the public participation first.
Okay, thank you so much. We're going to do public participation first. Thank you so much. First, we have. I'll wait till the person enters the room. Thank you. If this is Miss Karen Garcia. It is. Hello. Hi. Thank you so much. And as just as a reminder, we at the board are here to listen. We are unable to comment on anything, but we do appreciate you coming in and speaking with us. Okay, hold on. I'm just trying to get this organized.
Hello, my name is Karen Garcia. I teach kindergarten at Sherwood Elementary. Love my job. Have loved my job in this district for 28 years. So I'm here on a happy note. I'm not upset. I'm not disgruntled. I love kindergarten. Love kindergarten. And I love TK. I just have never taught that great. But the reason I'm here with just 3 minutes is to say that I heard that recently there was a parent survey sent out to all of our stakeholders in regards to their feelings about TK and K long day, full day inclusion. And as far as I know, the kindergarten teachers were not made privy of that survey. I didn't know it was happening, nor did my TK colleagues. And as a transparent district, that's what we've preached for as long as I've been here, back on the yellow bus with Dr. Siebitz. I'm saddened that I didn't know that survey was coming out because I felt dumbfounded when my parents asked me about the survey. I wish I would have known about the survey. I want full day kindergarten. There are people in this room that also know it's important for kids. That's why the great presentation that's 29 pages tonight will be presented to the board. I just wish there was a committee or at least the thought to invite TK and K teachers in on the fact that parents were going to be surveyed. I would have felt more allegiance to my families instead of being kind of surprised. So again, I'm not upset. I love my job. I'm going to cry because I love my babies. I've been here since 1994. We are a district of transparency. And I think somehow that was overlooked on this survey decision. Velma's not here, but I want to congratulate Velma and the board and the district office people, because anytime we have a COVID crisis, teachers, staff members always receive a copy of whatever's going to be presented to parent stakeholders. Why do we do that? Because we want to be transparent so that we have more knowledge in our toolkit, so that when teachers or parents ask about things as far as COVID goes, teachers know how to reply to parents. And I didn't know how to reply to my parents on the survey. In perusing the document that you will be witnessing tonight, is a very well done draft, and I'm all for it. And I would love to be on the committee to discuss and converse about full day kindergarten. I think it's really important. Again, I'm not upset. I'm here for a lot of people in my grade level that are afraid to come and speak because they don't want to be frowned upon. I'm not afraid. I'm a big girl. I'm a tiger. I'm a fighting tiger. I'm here because I love my job. I love the board. I love my district. I love everyone working for our children. Deborah Hendricks once told me, when you do the right work, it's because you do it for kids. So I'm hoping it was an oversight. We're all human. We can only do as much as we can do in one day. And the great poet Maya Angelou once said, when you know better, you do much better. So I'm hoping the next time we know better. I would like to volunteer to be on the committee to help in any way with full day kindergarten. I am a bit concerned about the crisis with COVID and staffing, but other than that, let's go. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your perspective. Next is Jody, Ms. Green. I will wait for the person to enter the room. And then after Ms. Grief will be Ms. Thompson. So if you want to get Ms. Thompson ready. Thank you, Ms. Grief, for coming and sharing your perspective tonight. As you know, the board is unable to comment, but we do appreciate you coming in, and you do have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Because most of you don't know me personally, before I say anything, I want to make clear that I am not an anti-vaxxer and I'm not an anti-masker. So I have always actually been pro-vaccines. And through my work as a pediatric nurse, know the AAP's recommended childhood vaccination schedule very well. I know when masks are a necessary and important piece of personal protective equipment. I am trained on the differences between surgical masks and 95s, respirators, and PAPRs, and know how to use clean or sterile techniques in the donning of and disposal of contaminated PPE. So why do I keep advocating against masks, vaccines, school closures, and in my humble opinion, all the disastrous and confusing, ever-changing guidelines from the ZDPH on our children? Well, I guess I have a radical agenda. Who would have thought? I've never been a radical person. And that agenda is to stand strongly and adamantly opposed to medical mandates, discriminatory policies, loss of the ability to hold strong religious beliefs that influence personal medical decisions. I could go on. I am radically standing for choice. Not one of those concepts should be considered radical in my opinion, but we've been conditioned by our government and media to believe that in this current climate, that they are radical and dangerous views. That's crazy. I will not be vaccinating my children. Why? Because I know the science. I see the statistics. I have strong religious convictions, and I know the personal stories that give me pause. That it should be my choice. Every child should have that choice. Vax or don't, mask or don't, that end the destructive discriminatory policies. My friend, a young, healthy mother, ended up hospitalized with a pulmonary embolism 2 days after her second shot. My brother has had significant chest pain and heart palpitations since his second shot and is desperately waiting on cardiology follow-up for more answers and treatment. Am I hesitant to give this particular vaccine to my kids? Yes. Is that evil and wrong? No. I know of more people than just those 2 examples that have ended up with adverse reactions. And yet I may not be allowed to exercise the right to choose for my children whether or not we want this now highly ineffective vaccine if they are to remain in person in their schools. I remember when the rotavirus vaccine, RotaShield, was introduced to the AAP vaccination schedule, only to be pulled 1 year later because 57 children developed intussusception. 57. Do you know how many cases of myocarditis post-vaccination were reported to the FDA Vaccine Advisory Group, according to the AAP? And this is from June 2021. So this is not even current data. This is most likely underreported data. 789. I'm sorry, I have a little bit more. The last 2 years, the public has become more familiar with the term risks and benefits, a term that any nurse knows and understands well. We have watched our government remove the crucial component of informed consent, being told the full risks and benefits, including reasonable alternatives of prolonged masking on our children, of experimental vaccination, because we are in a public health crisis. And even with mass vaccinations and strict indoor mask mandates, the crisis continues. Our cases are higher than ever, despite every well-intentioned policy. And what did every policy carry alongside with the hope of seeing benefits? Risks. When there is not overwhelming empirical evidence to support the benefits outweigh the risks, we should stop. And that is what I'm asking of you right now. Stop and think. I have told you this is wrong. What our state is doing to our kids is wrong. Sorry. This is not just my gut instinct. My opinions are based off of objective, concrete data, as well as what I see right before my eyes. Did you know California was the last state in the nation to reopen their schools? I hope you're all aware of that. I honestly, I don't even know if you are. I know I'm going past my time. I apologize. But I need to get my words out. Did you know that many states never even closed their school doors? Did you know the majority of kids across America go to school maskless? Did you know that the information you get, superintendent from the CDPH, is cherry picked to support their decisions? You know our children have suffered. If you don't know that, your eyes are open. They're not open. Our children continue to suffer. There is evidence that masking children is not only not necessary, it carries risks and does harm. There is evidence that children do not have the same risk of severe illness or death from COVID, which makes a vastly different cost-benefit analysis to the necessity of requiring vaccination. I am holding you all accountable for the harms you are continuing and supporting. Is the state to blame? Will they come after you if you don't follow the guidance? Is it the federal funding from the CARES Act? Give the ESSER funds back then. Give it back. Our kids are more important than money. I hope you all feel that way. Our kids don't need millions of federal dollars. They need a return to normalcy, safety, and stability. So we need to get off the merry-go-round. I'm so sorry that I went so long. I have some light reading for the superintendent. I would love to leave it here. Thank you guys all so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing your perspective. We appreciate it. Hello, Ms. Thompson. I'm Ms. Harvey. Hi.
Yes.
Hi, President. Just as a reminder, we are unable to comment on your presentation, but we do appreciate you coming here. You do have 3 minutes, and you will, the little dingular thing will ding-a-ling, and so try to wrap it up by the time you hear that, all right? Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. It's a pleasure to be with you here today. I have a long history with Sylvan Schools. My mother went to Belpassi, right on this very property. And then when Sylvan School was built, my brothers and I went there. We lived on Norwegian Avenue. I also was one of the first students to be at Stanford School and one of the first students to be at Somerset. And Sylvan had a great influence on my development, my love of knowledge, and I appreciate the history of this great district. First of all, I want to say I'm totally opposed to mandating vaccines for children. And I just want to say that outright. That's why I'm here. On that. I have a letter today that I received, and it's from a nurse. And it kind of sums up a lot of how I feel about what's been going on. And I think it's a good perspective. I'd like you to hear it. So this is not my words. Among all the vaccines I have known in my life, diphtheria, tetanus, measles, rubella, chickenpox, hepatitis, meningitis, tuberculosis, flu, and pneumonia, I've never seen a vaccine that forced me to wear a mask and maintain my social distance even when you're fully vaccinated. I've never heard of a vaccine that spreads the virus even after vaccination. I had never heard of rewards, discounts, incentives to get vaccinated. I never saw discrimination for those who didn't. If you haven't been vaccinated, no one has tried to make you feel like a bad person. I've never seen a vaccine that threatens the relationship between family, colleagues, and friends. I've never seen a vaccine used to threaten livelihoods, work, or school. I've never seen a vaccine that would allow a 12-year-old to override parental consent. After all the vaccines I've listed above, I have never seen a vaccine like this one, which discriminates, divides, and judges society as it is. And as the social fabric tightens, it's a powerful vaccine. It does all of these things except immunization. If we still need a booster dose after we're fully vaccinated, and we still need to get a negative test after we are fully vaccinated, and we still need to wear a mask after we are fully vaccinated and still be hospitalized after we've been fully vaccinated, it will likely come to it's time for us to admit we've been completely deceived. I believe there's a lot of truth in this. I'm vaccinated. I'm fully vaccinated. I'm boosted. I'm 67 years old. I'm at high risk. Our children are not. This should not be mandated for them. And that's all I'm going to say. I hope you listen and I hope you act on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate you sharing your perspective. Hi, Ms. Whitrow?
No,
Whitlow, excuse me, my mistake. Ms. Whitlow, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your perspective. As you know, we are unable to comment, but we do appreciate you coming in and sharing.
thank you.
And you have 3 minutes.
Thank you.
If you go over the little dingling, but
Got it.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'm here today because I previously have emailed you all my request for you guys to consider a resolution which would oppose the COVID-19 mandate to our governor. I received very few responses. The ones I did were that we would forward it to administration, which I never received any further response on. So I'm here today to follow up on that. I believe that a resolution would help communicate a lot of those things that the previous speakers are concerned about, that we are concerned about as parents. This is a very scary thing for us to think that our children may not be able to participate in in-person learning because of the requirements that are put on by a state. I'm sorry, but the state, nor do you guys know what's best for me or my family. And I would love for you guys to do what you've been doing previously to COVID and stick with those things and stop essentially implementing the things that public health is requesting of you. As parents, we can do what we need to do to keep our families safe. The fact that we're following these non-scientific protocols are concerning in general, even to the point where we're essentially forcing parents outside because of the dangers, I guess. But within the same time frame, we just eased up on the restrictions of our children maintaining school after an exposure at school. So it doesn't really make sense that we're doing those two different things in the same week. I look at the protocols that have been implemented, and it's concerning to me. According to Dr. V, our public health officer at the Board of Supervisors meeting on September 21st of 2021, she stated that there's often confusion of the guidance of quarantining and kids coming back to school. It is done at a district and school level. Public health gives recommendations and you implement them. So I'm asking you to think for yourselves and implement things that make sense for our children. We are at the point of COVID where we need to stop having reactionary responses and move into long-term solutions. I think thinking for ourselves and communicating to the state and to our community, essentially, that we are going to think for ourselves and create protocols that make sense for our children. Also, as one of the previous parents had said, our children are in a mental health crisis that has been confirmed by the American Academy of Pediatrics as well as our Surgeon General. So my question is, when have we looked at the data behind implementing masks and these other restrictions on our children, and when this mental health crisis peaked? And if we can identify when it peaked, and I'll tell you, it correlates with these mandates, we need to look at the cause. We're injuring our children. We need to stop trying to fix them afterwards, and we need to take away what is hurting our children. These guidelines and protocols from the state are hurting our children. We have to take the masks off for children. Give them the option. We cannot require our children to be vaccinated for an experimental drug to participate in in-person learning. Our children need the social interaction. They need the interaction with these amazing teachers. We cannot provide that at home. Please let us take care of our families' health. You guys take care of the education. Please consider a resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing your perspective. Our last public participant for is Jacob. Thank you so much. We appreciate you coming in and sharing your perspective. As you know, the board is unable to comment at this time. You do have a 3-minute warning. In 3 minutes, you will be given a warning at that time. Please be considerate of the 3-minute time frame.
All right, so I picked up my children from school at Somerset, where they attend, and this was on December 16th for a dentist appointment. When I walked in there, there was a sign that said everyone must be wearing a mask, and this was during the reinforcement of the mask mandates from that loser named Newsom. And I noticed that 2 front desk clerks there were not wearing a mask during this so-called reinforcement of this nonsense. And it was annoying and disturbing to see this because I'm like, oh, okay, so I guess they must be fully vaccinated and it's okay, or regardless of that, you know, they're breaking their quote unquote own policies. Now, this happened and it's all recorded. They have cameras inside that place, and this was recorded during 2:40 p.m. and 2:50 p.m. while I was waiting to pick up my children. Now, I saw some children in that office during that time wearing masks. Bunch of hypocrites, I'll tell you what this nonsense is all it is. So, and again, why are children wearing masks? You guys don't have years of research on masks providing 100% proof. A lot of boxes say that these device or this face mask does not prevent any virus from seeping through the mask. You guys never show any videos of any kind testing out cloth masks, surgical masks, any kind of mask. You guys don't have those videos. We haven't seen them. You guys don't post them up on the district. You should. And then I hear on the news somewhere in LA school, the Barack Obama Global Prep Academy, a 13-year-old was given a COVID shot without the parent consent and was bribed with a pizza. You know, what the hell is that? What's going on with that? So I better not hear anything like that around here. Okay, because parents we will retaliate, and that better not happen. Okay. So again, children were never a threat, but again, you guys made up some nonsense excuse that there is, and you guys want to follow Lord, what's his name? Newsom. Then the interesting thing here is that there's a video from the director of WHO, Dr. Tritos, that's basically saying COVID shots, boosters are killing children. Then Dr. Nguyen is saying that masks don't work against the Omicron variant. Wow, it's airborne. What a shocker. Then we hear, and there's video evidence of everything I'm telling you, Dr. Rochelle Walensky saying that the COVID tests don't even work. Pretty interesting there. So they're all now backtracking. I wonder why. Maybe their narrative or their pandemic storyline is crumbling and falling apart, and I wouldn't be surprised if they point the finger at each other and blame someone in that. So then there are some solutions for this nonsense, which I would like to inform parents that you can do something about it. One thing is obviously you can not comply. Your children cannot comply. And also, what is that? Is that the warning? Oh, or you can pull your children out of the schools, and then you can also let all of this crumble and fall if you want to keep following you're using my tax money to push through your pandemic nonsense experiment. And I'm not going to tolerate that. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing your perspective. We do appreciate your time. At this point, we have no additional.
We do have one more.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm sorry, we do have one more.
That one's for when we, another agenda item.
Right, okay. So thank you so much. We do appreciate the public taking time to come in and share their perspectives with the board. As stated, we are unable to comment, but again, we do appreciate the community being involved. So thank you so much. We are going to move on now to the superintendent's update. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I just want to give a quick update coming back from our winter break. Again, I think it's obvious everybody with the Omicron strain or variant, it has been more contagious, and we're just seeing the impact on our personnel and on our students. We had a meeting with our public health the first week I was back, and looking at just on how to notify families, knowing that CDPH was going to be giving some new options for that. Again, our response is to stay connected with our local public health, and I do want to give I do want to commend Julie Falkenstein from our local public health. Works very closely with our superintendent's group, so we all try to stay informed. We did get new guidance this last week from CDPH on an option of doing group tracing. What has really burdened and impacted schools great, a lot of things have, but one of the most significant ones, and a lot at the junior high, because they go to different classes, has been trying to contact trace kids who were 6 feet apart, and then trying to keep track of all that. And they would go on a modified quarantine. With the new group tracing, one, it sends out notifications to families that there was a student that was positive in the classroom from school. This is not about at home content, this is all about school. And families are notified with, we're using our parent square through Aries to notify. There's a template letter that this state has provided that we've customized to meet our schools. And it does strongly recommend that students are tested, but it is not a requirement to return. So we've selected that option. We're still assessing the impact on our sites But I think most of the sites, compared to what they were dealing with before, trying to keep track of all that, I think that was a relief. And especially for families that wanted to keep their students in school and they were asymptomatic. And, so, like some of the comments tonight, it's just, we want kids in school and we do care about children.
That's our number. Well, we are going to follow the rules and regulations and the recommendations for public health. So, I mean, that's our key thing. We are seeing a significant uptick on the number of students testing positive. Carrie Albert gave some numbers today. We were before break, we were averaging about 2 or 3 positives per day. We're up to 25. So we are seeing an uptick. I'm really pleased that we went out and provided the free COVID testing. We've continued to expand it here at the district offices. The line wraps around the building. And I appreciate the staff who's been manning that. And so, because parents want to know, they're concerned, they want to get their children back in school if they're not positive. So we'll continue to monitor that. Again, just seeing the impacts. I get communication from different superintendents asking, how is that impacting your school sites, getting out all those messages. And so we'll continue to monitor that as well. As far as what makes it challenging as well is this is pertaining to students at school. There's different rules for our employees. And there's always these mixed messages and people go, well, I thought it was this. Well, OSHA can basically dictates what guidance we follow for our staff. And we're still awaiting some updates from them. We thought it was going to come out last Friday. Haven't heard anything today. So again, we're just moving forward with the information that we have. It is definitely impacting our ability to operate, but I just want to commend our staff. People have just risen to the occasion. People out supervising, volunteering to supervise, people who normally may not be in the classroom teaching, but have a credential in the classroom, helping teach, supervise, work at the site. So Miss Didi, I call her. Miss Didi and I, we meet every morning and we try to assess what the impact of the number of absences of employees are to see how well we'll be able to operate our schools. We are looking at things individually. We look at specifics by site, by classroom. We wouldn't look at an overall decision of closing a program unless we could not operate, but we would start at the smallest specifics that we'd have. So if it's we can't man a classroom with all the resources we have safely, then we would send those students home. We have not reached that point. I'm hoping not to. We don't have the authority from the governor or the legislature at this point to do distance learning. We can do independent study, but that's a whole different animal. And so we're trying to do everything we can to keep students in school. But yeah, that's what we've been facing since coming back. We're moving forward, but it's been pretty challenging.
You speak up.
I'm sorry. I just said, as a parent in the district, whose children have just gone through the COVID exposures and testing, I think was handled well. My husband was able to go get tests at the office and test them, and we didn't have to go in the line. They were just handed them at the end of the day, and the communication's been wonderful. So I guess that's a public comment.
Oh, well, thank you for that. But that did remind me, so many things have happened so quickly. The governor had promised that we'd have tests before kids came back to school. Our test kits arrived the Friday before we were supposed to go back to school on Monday, Friday afternoon. And I just have to commend our administrative team, got out there Saturday morning and distributed those tests to our community. And because we were committed to, one, we had all these tests, but we wanted, if if we could find out if a student was symptomatic and needed to be tested before they came to school on Monday, we wanted to make sure they had those in their hands. And any of those tests that we have left over, we've been distributing to families. Those that come in line at times, we don't have enough time when we close it. They hadn't had a chance to get tested yet. We've distributed some of those kits out to those families. So we're doing everything we can to provide that knowledge.
Thank you so much. Ms. Lindsay? Yes, I just wanted to say, thank you to all our staff and our administrations and our teachers and everybody, because we as a board recognize and know how hard you're working. And we're so appreciative of everything that you do. You're stepping into 2 or 3 different roles that are not necessarily things that you normally do. And teachers are running between classrooms and taking over classes of kids that they have never worked with before. And I think I speak on behalf of the board when I say we really, really do recognize and appreciate so much. I know there's so much negativity out there right now, but please know that as far as we're concerned, you're doing a fabulous job, and we just are very proud to be a part of this this group of people. So thank you.
Ms. Miyakawa, do you have any comments? No. Just to add on, and it's not just that the teachers are going and it's that they're still, it's education. It's, hey, I maybe haven't worked in a 5th grade classroom, but they're still teaching, and it's amazing. And the people in the play yard and the recess, just everything. So thank you so much from all of us for doing an amazing job during an amazingly interesting time. So we are going to move on. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to the information discussion, presentation of universal transitional kindergarten, TK. Thank you.
First, I just want to thank, you have a microphone over there. Okay, yeah. Dr. Fong is going to be doing our presentation. I appreciate the work she did on getting this together. And she'll be doing both the TK and also the full day kindergarten presentation.
Okay, thank you. I'm really excited to be able to be here tonight in person to talk to you about our new assembly bill that came out. Go to the next slide, Mark. Assembly Bill 22. This passed in August of this school year. And what this does is this gradually expands our transitional kindergarten program until eventually it will include all 4-year-olds by the year 2025-2026. And it'll be called Universal TK at that point. And this is what the phased-in approach looks like. I put the dates on here. So what will happen is each year, starting next school year, they will expand the window of when students can be eligible to attend TK by 2 months. So currently, and since TK was first initially started, students had to turn 5 either on or between September 2nd and December 2nd. That's the current guidance. So what this would do now is extend that by 2 years to February 2nd. So it still starts, go back, sorry. Still starts September 2nd, but by February 2nd, they must turn 5. Then in the 2023-24, it goes to April, then to June, and then the following year, 25-26, you just have to turn 4 by September 1st, and you are in our program. Okay. And so what we did was we looked at how many students we anticipate might fall in that window. TK is a little unusual. In order to really look at our, enrollment, we get who we get. We can't just look at who matriculates through the grade level. It's easy to see how many 2nd graders we might have or 3rd graders because we count the grade before. So with TK, what we did was we took and we pulled out of our student information system all of our students grades K-5 and their birthdays so that we could see about how many kids in each of our grade levels have a birthday that falls between December 2nd and February 2nd. About how many kids in each of those grade levels there are, so that we can sort of estimate how many kids we think we might expect to enroll on top of our traditional TK enrollment. And by looking at that, we anticipate that there could be up to or around 120 students that would qualify if we just looked at how our current enrollment has gone. Yeah, so we currently have 114 TKers, and just looking at the birthdays, like I said, how many first graders have birthdays between December 2nd and February 2nd? How many second all the way up through 5th grade? There was about 120 each year that have that interesting birthday range. So on top of our current enrollment, there could be up to 120 that enroll. Again, this is just an estimate, our best guess using the data we currently have. Our registration actually opens next Monday. It's an online registration process, and so we will be following that very closely. We do know that some parents do hold off and register later, that some are chomping at the bit and they're going to register February 20 or January 24th. Some might wait a little longer. I think in our current climate, some people might wait a little longer, but we're going to watch that registration very carefully. Next slide. So there's also some other changes besides just the date range for eligible TKers. There are some other things that came out of this legislation. And one of them has to do with the class sizes. So looking at a TK classroom, what they're saying is for next school year, there would be no more than 24 pupils per TK class, which we've never had, and we wouldn't have students higher than that typically as it is. And then what they're saying is that there would be one adult for every 12 students. So basically adding an additional person. Currently we have one TK teacher for, maybe 20, 22 students-ish. And so next year it would add a paraprofessional or another adult to that classroom. It could be a paraprofessional. Beginning in the 23-24 school year, what this legislation has said, and we haven't seen this yet, but this may come out in some of the budget that's coming up, maintain an average of at least one adult for every 10 pupils. So they're looking at that for not next year, but the following year. And that change and that adjustment in enrollment is contingent on appropriation of funds for that purpose. So they would give funds to LEAs for that. There's also a bit of a change in the credentialing. And so for teachers who were assigned to a TK assignment after July 1st of 2015, by August of 2023, they have to have one of those following things. They have to have either 24 units of early childhood education, or, and I think Dee Dee could probably expand on this a little bit, as determined by the LEA, professional experience in a classroom setting with preschool age children that is comparable to that 24 units, or a child development teacher permit issued by the CTC. So what we did is we looked at, how many TK classes we have currently. We estimated about how many students, looking at those birthdays, to see could we accommodate, how would we accommodate these students. And in looking at that, we're confident that we're able to accommodate these students, and we actually would like to have that enrollment. We'd love to see those new faces in our district and matriculating through our schools from TK through 8th grade. Are there any questions about the TK legislation? Okay. So it would be based, so the question was, in case anybody didn't hear, going the 10-to-1, would that mean after 20 students were in the class, we would add an additional adult? That could be one way to handle it, or it could be not allowing the class to go over 20. That, again, is contingent on funding being appropriated for that purpose. And so we'll be watching that closely to see if that does occur. For next school year, though, it is a 12-to-1 ratio. So we would definitely need to have 2 adults for up to 24 students.
Yes, I would think that we would want to hold it at 20, just because we don't want to have 3 salaried employees in a classroom, especially if we only have two students. So I just would, I don't know, quite understand the reasoning. What is the reasoning for changing it to 10 instead of staying with 12?
I think they're looking at following closer to the preschool standards, and they're 4-year-olds. And so they're looking at, having an entire class of 4-year-olds for the school year.
But
So most of it, by the time, what the idea is to eventually get 5-year-olds out of TK and only have 4-year-olds in there. Is that the idea?
I mean, eventually, that's what it would look like. It would
Because
look like for all
transitional
4-year-olds.
kindergarten used to be children who weren't quite ready for kindergarten, but were 5 years old and needed that extra help. So does that mean we will no longer look at those students, or will we be looking only at 4 years old and up and in 3 or 4 years?
So it'll eventually be 4-year-olds in TK and 5-year-olds in K. So those students will.
So
go
there's
on
not gonna be a transition for those 5-year-olds that need that extra help.
It would be preschool or TK if they qualified, but more than likely preschool program or kindergarten.
No, you're not hearing. If you have a 5-year-old who has been in the TK program, or 4-year-old, but he's not ready to go into kindergarten, would they stay in that TK program?
No, TK is a 2-year program with kinder, so you can't retain them in TK. They have to move on to K. So we would use intervention strategies to work with those students.
Then we're defeating the purpose of transitional kindergarten in the essence right there. Transitional kindergarten is to make them prepared for kindergarten. And if they're not ready, and we're saying, we're sorry, but you're not old, you're too old, we're gonna boot you up into kindergarten, we're gonna have to look at something else as a transitional class for those children that are not ready.
So
I mean, that to me that was the original reason behind transitional kindergarten to begin with.
But even now, if you have somebody in TK. 4 to 5,
No, they don't have, no.
Yeah,
That wasn't the, well, they're doing it and they shouldn't be, because that wasn't the original plan behind transitional kindergarten. It was to be, for a child to be ready to go into kindergarten. I can't understand you too.
it was to get that year, to get out.
I'm sorry, we can't hear whoever's speaking.
Eric's getting her. microphone. Yeah, just
Hello. So TK, I've taught TK and I've taught K, and that TK year is to help you acclimate to school and get used to procedures and get you ready for kindergarten. And kindergarten is where more of the academics take place. And so the TK kids show tremendous improvement, I don't know the right words to use, the tremendous growth just by being in there that year versus the children that have not had any kind of academic settings.
Okay, and I appreciate that, what you're saying, but what about the parent, which you were saying, Lori, is that they're gonna keep them back. They're not gonna put them in that transitional kindergarten. So they turn 5 and they come into a kindergarten class, they're not ready.
We have those students in kindergarten already.
So that's what I'm saying.
Because
We
it's an optional
need
year.
to think about addressing the needs of those children, because that's where we're falling. There's gonna be a gap there if we're not careful, and we're gonna be losing a whole group of little children that are not in the TK class, who are thrown into kindergarten, but they're not ready for kindergarten because they happen to be of a certain age.
And that happens currently. And so our teachers work really hard with interventions and social emotional strategies to really help catch those students up for school readiness and academic skills.
All I know is that it was 4 or 5 years ago when we had transitional kindergarten and we would visit it. It was kids that were sometimes 5 years old that were in there. And they were not ready to go into the kindergarten classroom. And so I would like us to think about looking at something in the future, because I don't really want to see that gap in there of, because it's a parent's choice whether the kid goes to school at 4. If we had a mandate that they had to be at 4, then that would be that 1 year of preparing them. But if it's a parent's choice, and then we have kindergarten, which isn't really mandatory either, and then you have them starting kindergarten, or they're a mess sometimes.
Yeah,
So
we're definitely going to work with the teachers on how to implement this, because there will be some strategies teachers will need because the students will be younger. So we're going to work with them on the preschool learning foundations, which is what TK
Legislation wants us to follow the preschool learning foundations for TK. So we'll do quite a bit of work with the students.
Yeah, they're gonna be
When they're
6
in
months,
TK.
they're almost 6 months younger because they weren't allowed to start school till December at 5. Now they're gonna be starting school at 5 and kindergarten at 5 in September. So they're all 3 or 4 or 5 months younger than they are right now. So, I mean, we're looking at potential, I mean, we've talked really seriously in this district about the children's emotional and mental health and all this kind of stuff. And we're working with social workers and counselors and everyone to try to limit the problems they have as youngsters and teens. And if we don't get it at the kindergarten and the TK level, and we have a big gap there, we need to really focus in on what are we gonna do there, you know, because that's a dangerous place right there. I don't mean to be alarmist, but I really think that while this may be somebody's idea of great legislation, I'm not sure that it's great legislation in that it's not catching the kids that are falling in the gap. So,
I think, you know, originally when TK was enacted back in, I think it was, I can't even remember the exact year at this point. But they looked at it, what it was to back the age of kindergarten back because they were going into kindergarten so young and they wanted you to be 5 before you started kindergarten. And then those legislators at the time really wanted finally to have a universal preschool. And they've been working on that for so many years. I think this is a step towards having that universal TK 4-year-old in school. And so this is, I think, one possible step.
another
towards that.
classic case of our legislators knowing more than the educators, unfortunately.
Okay.
Well, I just would like to throw that out for our staff to be able to be aware and to be on top of that and maybe even be looking at, because if we do have 3 or 4 years to possibly start looking at a possible program that we can look at that can be the catcher of between those 2 grades, the TK and kindergarten, if we have children that need it.
Thank you. Any other comments at this time? Ms. Miyakawa, I don't see you, but
Yeah, thank you. I just want to clarify that TK is not moving to full day, right? This is a half-day program.
So TK has to follow the same school day that Kinder would. So if Kinder was to go to full day, TK would also go to full day.
And can you explain why that would be the case?
TK is supposed to mirror the K program, and so it has to have the same length of day. What you do during that day looks very different, but it's definitely it needs to be extended at the same rate as Kinder.
I'm not sure I'm following why that would be the case, because our kinder hasn't mirrored first grade, but we've had half day kinder. And it was back in that time, kinder was to get them ready for first grade. And now they're just switching that to the TK. So I guess I'm not understanding why we're asking 4-year-olds to be at school for 6 hours.
It's been a requirement since TK came out. TK was looked at as a 2-year kinder program, basically, to help students. And so they wanted students, number one, they couldn't be retained. And number 2, they need to follow the same school day. So if we extend a school day for kinder, we would have to extend a school day for TK.
Okay, thank you.
The answer is it's all political. There's a political party that is demanding for years that we have.
Can Mr. Raw turn on his mic, please?
We've had a political party that has said for many years that they have demanded that preschool be mandatory and that it be fully funded. And they've run into obstacles every single year in getting it passed. So they got creative and they rebranded it TK. And that's what happened. This is truly preschool. It is not TK, it's preschool because it's for 4-year-olds. And so you guys all make great points. Mrs. Lindsay's spot on. Jennifer, you're spot on. All of these are problems that occur because rather than calling it preschool, what it truly is, they branded it TK and now they're having to follow the TK rules because they branded it TK, and that's the problem that we have. But truly, What they wanted was universal preschool. And so now we have a bailiwick that I'm sure that will be cured over the coming years, because they're gonna find all the things you're bringing up tonight are true and real, and we're gonna have to wade through them to get the legislation changed or the rules changed to account for all of these 4-year-olds that probably aren't prepared to go all day long, and they're gonna fall through the cracks. And that's what happened here. This is a political football that was created, and now we're going to have to figure out how to administer it.
I taught all day TK and it looks very different than kindergarten and the kids are up for it. So.
All right, thank you so much. We are going to move on to part 2 of this presentation, which is K. Correct? Not TK, but just K. All right, thank you. Yes.
Okay. Again, over this last month or so, we've been just looking at some different data, some surveys, looking at the possibility of full day K. Many of our surrounding districts around us have already gone to a full day K. And the speaker that from our site that spoke earlier this evening, just in my contact with kindergarten teachers, as I go out to the sites, they said, are you exploring full day K? Are you thinking about full day K? So there is some interest out there. So that's why we did the survey. Again, it can also be very philosophical. You start looking at maturation and the age of these children. Are they going to be there full day? I've been involved with 2 districts that have implemented full day K, and there's always a lot of those questions about that. Will they be able to last that long? Once, and Dr. Fallon will talk more about this in our research, but the first year is always challenging, because when you shift, but after you do it for a few years, it's just kind of natural that, and the parents adjust to it, and the staff adjust to it. So we're exploring that option. And I'll have Dr. Fong do her presentation.
Thank you. So I'm going to start, we've been having a lot of conversations about kindergarten in cabinet, and I've done quite a bit of research. And so I'm going to start with what the research says about full day kindergarten. So by 3rd grade, students who attend a full day kindergarten program showed higher academic achievement in reading and math on their standardized tests than their half day students, and they also had better attendance. I put my resources there. Students who attended a full day program outperformed their peers in reading, math, and science through 4th grade. This is another research article showing the same thing, but a further extension. Another research study that looked at GPAs through grades 6 and 8 showed that students who attended a full day kindergarten earned higher GPAs or grade point averages in grades 6 through 8 than students who attended a half day program. And I think this is my last slide on research. Full day kindergarten students also, when they tracked these students over time, had reduced retention rates, fewer remedial program referrals, fewer special education referrals, and higher standardized test scores than their half-day counterparts. So looking at a kinder program, I think a lot of times I've also worked in districts where full-day kindergarten was open or extended, and a lot of times people are thinking, teachers specifically, would I be expected to do more? Would there be more that's needed to be done? And so there wouldn't be more piled onto their plate, there would be more time to do repetition and solidify the learning. So many times I think kindergarten teachers feel like they have to rush. It's a half-day program. They're trying to get kiddos, through the centers and do all of the interventions and instruction. And now they would have time to slow down, to do some repetition, really spend more time on depth of content, gross and fine motor skills, which are hard to sometimes fit some of those activities in the day, more literacy and numeracy, social skills, and then add in more of those art, science, and PE activities that sometimes get pushed to the wayside because you only have so much time in the day. You don't get to spend as much time in some of those things as deeply as you would like to. We, as our speaker earlier mentioned, we surveyed our Sylvan Unified parents. We sent this survey out to staff because we know a lot of our staff also have students within the district. So we surveyed staff and parents who may have a kinder or a TK student coming on up. And 295 people responded, which was, I thought, a really good response rate. So the first piece of data, I just basically asked them, hey, do you have a student of these age range? Do you have one who qualifies for TK, one who qualifies for K, or maybe you have both? Maybe you have two kiddos that are birthday, one's going to qualify for TK and K. So 80 students had a TK aged student, 194 had a student that would be eligible for kinder next year, and 21 had both. Asked them what was their preference for the length of school day for TK or kinder. And as you can see, 83.5% prefer the full day option and 16.5% preferred a half day option. So it was a pretty large chunk of people very interested in full day for TK or kinder. The next question was, do you plan to enroll your student that's TK or kinder age in Sylvan Union next school year? And almost 92% of them said yes. A little tiny slice there said no, and 6% had not decided yet. So I wanted to dig deeper into that. And so here's some more data for you guys, because I asked questions about if you were not going to enroll in Sylvan, where were you going to enroll, or what was your option? And these are what they had said. 12 were going to another district, 8 were going to private school, 7 homeschool, 4 were going to keep them home another year. 1 was moving out of state. 2 said they would, depends if we offer a full day K, they would stay. Otherwise, they were going to go to Modesto City or another district, one of them listed. And 1 depended on the vaccine, COVID vaccine mandate. So we also looked at our enrollment projections for this group of students. And based on our current kindergarten enrollment is 664 in-person students, and 20 additional students are on independent study. Looking at our current classroom space right now and our numbers and our class sizes, we have room for 143 spots. If we fill those classes to an average of about 22. So if 143 additional students enrolled next year, we would be able to accommodate those students with the number of kindergarten classes and teachers that we currently have without having to add any classes. Next. We also looked at our facilities because in order to accommodate that, some of our teachers share. So we have an AM teacher and a PM teacher in some situations that share a classroom. We also have some that have their own classrooms. So Lisette and Sean walked each and every single site and looked at space, classrooms to see if we could accommodate our need. When we looked at those, we needed 16 additional classrooms throughout the district. And so they were able to identify those spaces and find those classrooms that would be needed to accommodate the 16 classrooms for each teacher to have their own classroom for their students. This was the next step. So we wanted to bring this information tonight for board input to share the data and what we've gathered. Anything else that you asked for tonight or would like for us to gather for you, we would be happy to do that. And then we would like to bring this back to the board in February as an action item. Yes.
At this time, Ms. Lindsay?
Yes.
No, I just, I would request that, since due to the comments of one of our speakers that the teachers were not even aware that this survey was going out, perhaps we ought to put that survey out again and make sure that all of the parents who would be touched by that are aware of it. I guess I have to almost take offense to some of it because the fact that we have been a AM PM kindergarten since I can remember, and we have had extremely intelligent students graduate from Sylvan Union and from Meyer, from all the other different high schools in town. So I guess I don't know exactly where the statistics came from, that way that, you know, shows all this. I'm not opposed to it. I think it's a change in the philosophy of the younger adults, younger parents these days than maybe years ago. I'm not opposed to it. I just feel that we need a little more input than just a couple of hundred people in our district making the decision that all the children in Sylvan would be doing that. So that's would be my only consideration on this.
Okay, we can definitely send that out again. We sent it out in December and then we sent it out again when we returned from break. We can definitely send that out again and try to
And
see
how do,
more.
how do you know that you're touching the parents who are don't even have children in our district yet?
Yeah, we
Like
just,
the TK parents, or maybe the parents who just have kindergartners right now. How do you reach them?
yeah, I mean, at this
They're the
point,
ones that
we didn't
really,
know
that
how
are
to
really
reach
the
them.
ones that matter. It doesn't matter if I vote on it, because my kids may already been through kindergarten. So I'm not sure that we're even reaching the right people to be making these decisions.
Yeah, I think we just anticipate a lot of our parents have students, and looking at that, you know, all of those people that responded had students of TK or K age. So it was 295 parents that have students of that age. So we did hit a nice chunk of them. But we definitely can't hit everybody.
What about if we went to the paper and told the paper? No, well, that's true. How could we do that? I just was wondering how we could do it, maybe on our Facebook page, I mean, on our, not our Facebook, but our website page, saying that, you know, this survey is available for incoming parents.
When they
Because
register too, we can ask them when they register.
I know, I mean, I know this sounds stupid, but there's probably lots of four-year-old parents out there that 4-year-olds have 4-year-olds that would like to have a voice heard in this decision. So that's my.
Mr. Rock?
I'm sorry, we can't hear Mr. Raw.
Sorry, that's the first time somebody's told me that I couldn't be heard, and so I'm not used to that, and I apologize. So I fully support full day kindergarten, and I believe that you've done your due diligence, but I mean, if you can get a majority of the board that wants you to redo your surveys, fine. This board member is satisfied to go forward with it. My concern, though, was on the additional 18 or so classrooms. Traditionally, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I would like to understand it. We've segregated our kindergartners on all of our campuses. So I didn't know how you plan to segregate those additional 18 classrooms or whatever it was, how you intend on segregating those little 4-year-olds or 5-year-olds from the rest of the campus, or even if that philosophy even still needs to happen. I don't know. I'm open to your thoughts, but I'm sure you've thought about this. But if you could just inform the board that you've researched it and that you have a solution for it, that's all I'm looking for.
We have researched it. Lisette, do you want to take this portion, or would you like for me to address it? I know that when you walked, you did look at classrooms that were near the current kinder and TK classrooms that were also adjacent to restrooms, because that's one of the requirements. So do you want to add?
I would just say that would still be the goal, as we look at the TK and K, and as we were walking sites, that would still be the goal, and we would work with each site on an individual basis to determine the best placement for that.
Right, and if we needed additional wrought iron fencing, decorative, not chain link preferably. I hate the chain link but anyway, that's another day. But if we do need to do more segregating, then we can do it in a beautiful way rather than a prisoner way.
I think one thing that may not have come across in my presentation is that we have it, it has been half day kinder for many moons. But also our standards have become more intense over time. And so more and more is expected of our kindergartners than have been in the past. I mean, kindergartners are doing more than when I was in kindergarten, than when any of us were in kindergarten. And so I think extending the time to enable teachers to be able to go deeper into that content, it is a gift to them.
Ms. Miyakawa, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I mean, that's the, for me, that's the crutch of the argument is we give them more time and legislation will just fill that time up. That's my biggest concern, honestly, is that we guard and protect that time, because it's exactly what you're saying, that kindergarten now looks remarkably more like first, second grade used to be when we were kids. I mean, so much is expected of these kids. And I've subbed in a couple of full day kindergarten classes this year, and you couldn't pay me enough that's not my grade. That's not my niche, but it is, because so much is expected. Those kids are there all day long. So I guess what's missing from this for me really has to do with a little bit of what Karen Garcia mentioned is where's the teacher voice in this? You're asking the board to make a decision whether we go ahead with this. And I know it's time sensitive because we have our kindergarten registration and we want to get a jump on it. But I guess I'm a little hesitant because I don't know what it's going to look like and how are we going to guard and protect. And I know when we rolled out TK, we had our TK committee, and that was formed with parents and teachers, and they helped craft the curriculum and what the school day looked like. And so I guess that's the piece of it for me that's missing a little bit is the teacher voice and what does this look like and how, I realize that we're behind the times a little bit in our district, that a lot of people are doing it, and maybe Ms. Talcott can touch on it if her district is already doing it, but that would be the component that I'm not hearing yet.
And that's definitely a plan, is we would need to meet with our TK teachers and our kinder teachers to talk about what this would look like, how to use that time, so that they don't, they're not thinking, oh, I have to have more piled on me. I actually have more time to do the instruction that I'm currently doing to take it deeper. So we would do a lot of work with those committees, with those teachers, to make sure that this was rolled out in a way that was conducive to them and to the students as well.
So early childhood is my big passion. I'm certified through 6 and Montessori, and I think full day is amazing. It's not in every district that I've been in that has a full day. These teachers are finally able to do the art projects and the traditional kindergarten things that we remember doing in kindergarten, the games and the social emotional, because you finally have that gift of time. And my kids went full day when they were 3 years old, from 7 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon. And you build in time for rest and you learn different things. So the kids can handle it. You don't have to make it college. So I am on board for the full day for both TK and K. I think it will benefit all of our students. It's good to see the little people on campus and have that family. They're so proud, the big kids, when their little kids come to the campus and like, this is my little brother.
Yeah, I just wanted to and help you understand. I'm not saying that I am opposed to it. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we've taken the wrong step. We need to go back. We need to talk to our teachers. How do our kindergarten teachers, how do our TK teachers feel about this? How are they going to support parents who might not be in favor of it? We've kind of moved forward without taking them with us. And we've also moving forward on a small number of parents who are representing a big district. So I think that's what I'm saying, is that we've been very open in our communication with our community. And I think it's really important that we don't take this step without including them in this process. So that's, and due diligence, yes, maybe, but I'm just saying that I feel that we need to include them in this whole process before we move forward.
Thank you. So right now we are in the information part, but I'll agree with Mr. Rob that it is due diligence. I feel comfortable. I'm wholehearted agree, both of them. I would love to see a mock-up of what a day would look like. You know, like what would a day look like in a TK? I think that would alleviate a lot of our fears. And because kindergarten, but also the little tykes too, just to see what a day would look like. You know, are we building in naps? Are we gonna have, I mean, these are kids, so we're talking about curriculum, but we're also talking about fun, right? I mean, you know, does the leprechaun show up? Or is that just first grade?
Oh, yes, definitely, they're still there.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, so I would love to see how a day would built in, the fun, the naps, the rest, the academics. But I feel 100% on board with this. And I feel that due diligence is, I think we can pull the teachers if we want to later, but again, I'm gonna leave that up to.
I don't want to put them behind Christine. No, they haven't. She just said they weren't even aware that the survey went out.
Well, let me speak to that a little bit, because I respect the opinion of the kindergarten teachers. They're very valuable. I think what's hard when you have individuals that have been part of these programs and watched them, it's pretty universal. And so I think as you head into that, what you're looking for is the expertise of the kindergarten teachers to craft this program. There's a lot of great examples. I think it's more, when we talked about whether we were going to include those kindergarten teachers in our survey, it was more about including them in the process when we went full day and how they were going to do it and get into it. So, you know, one, we don't want to delay this too long if we intend to implement it next year. Because one, we gotta get it registered, we gotta train, we gotta hire possibly, we have to look at facilities. So it's a big undertaking. And I do believe the survey, when you look at that many people that have kids here in the district already, and they, what was it, almost 90% were looking at it. So there was no disrespect not including the kindergarten teachers in the survey. We really saw the work for them was show us how Sylvan can do the best in the area in a full day K, because it's implemented all around us. And I think we have a good idea what it looks like. But I need those teachers to really add that Sylvan touch to it. That's where, so I apologize if it came across disrespectful with them. That was not the intent. We thought about it, we discussed it. And we need their input on how to make this thing happen, not rather what the philosophical point of view is. But I don't want to be disrespectful there either. But I feel like the staff has a pretty good idea that a full day K would be very beneficial for our district and for our students, and we can make it the best in the area. I want it to be the best full day K, like we were the best half day program in the area. And I think what's hurt us a little bit, as these other districts went full day, parents are very interested in that. Whether you want to feel if they think it's the best for their child academically or for childcare purposes, we know there's an element of that in it. We get that. But I'd rather have these kids in our school being influenced by our teachers and what we can provide for them, and not have them leaving our district to go to another district so they can have a full day K. So that was really my interest. But I totally respect our kindergarten teachers. They're great. I think they can, if the board decides for us to go full day, our teachers will make it the best in our area. So, but we will, you know, Dr. Fong will get involved. I'll have her meet with those kindergarten teachers and start to do that discussion and be respectful of them. That's important.
All right, we are moving on. To presentation, employees making a difference recognition. Woohoo! Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. So Employees Making a Difference honors outstanding classified employees here in Sylvan Union School District. We celebrate our classified leaders and heroes. These are the folks who faithfully serve and support our staff, students, and families every day. We're excited to honor and recognize the following classified employees. So the Employees Making a Difference is a sponsored event, and due to all the restrictions and just out of caution, even the county level event is going virtual. So I'm going to talk briefly about each of the people. The words I'm going to say are not my own words. I'm going to say I, but it's not me, it's the nominator. The nominators were the site principals and the supervisors of our folks that are in the classified departments, as well as the school sites. These are all amazing people. And of course, thank you, a special thank you to all of our classified employees. They are the glue that holds us together. Absolutely. They are champions and they are heroes. And we thank each and every one of them for every single thing they do every single day. So I'm going to go through this. There will be a certificate and kind of a celebration little card that will go out to each of these, and we'll get those out as well. So without further ado, I'd like to first recognize Valerie Notbaum, Staff Secretary at Crossroads. Attendance is always a challenge at an elementary site, and this is compounded tenfold in the time of COVID. Our amazing attendance secretary, Val, has remained our attendance champion at Crossroads, working hard to get families and students and help keep students in school and communicating everything they need. Her positivity and her compassion for students and families shines through in all that she does. I appreciate Val's caring nature, phenomenal work ethic, and collaborative team attitude. Val is an asset to Crossroads, and she consistently goes above and beyond to show the families and community what it means to be a loving Crossroads Cougar. And just so you know, we asked everyone to actually, we actually asked them to zoom in so they hopefully are there watching themselves be talked about. I hope so. All right, Janet Figueroa. She is a behavior support aide at CF Brown. Janet is one of the kindest and gentlest people I know, an employee with Sylvan since 2013. Janet is a BSA in our pre-formal classroom. She works with students each and every day with such love and tenderness while making sure that students are being supported and allowed to grow and learn. Even when behaviors are challenging, Janet is always a steady, calm presence. She has a strong work ethic and is willing to step in when asked to fill in. She is a team player. Each day she shows how much she cares for the students in the classroom as she works to support their goals. She clearly loves her job. Thank you, Janet. All right. Like to support and celebrate Ricky Collins, district office secretary in special ed. She joined the department last year on day one. She's been a hard worker and goes above and beyond each for the program specialist, the director, and everybody else. She especially helps both staff and parents. She'll go to sites to make sure that they have what they need for curriculum and materials. And when a parent comes in, she makes sure to greet them and offer help. And if that parent seems upset, she talks with them to help calm them and reaches out to get the help they need. And with all that said, she does it because of her love for children. Ricky makes our parachute. She's the goal to keep our department running as efficiently as possible. Thank you, Ricky. Jennifer Trufa, campus supervisor at Freedom. Jennifer goes above and beyond every chance she gets. She works hard to support her team, thinks of creative ways to engage students, and connects with every student and staff on campus. She can be counted on for her reliability and desire to create learning opportunities on the playground. She even started a collection of coloring books and games to provide even more options to students during their breaks. Jennifer loves Freedom and loves all her Falcons, and it shows in everything she does. Thank you, Jennifer. Vanessa Wells, treatment nurse, Mary Ann Sanders. Vanessa is a treatment nurse, and what a treatment nurse she is. If you know Mary, I'm trying to channel that. Okay. COVID is no match for this superstar. Vanessa is very detail oriented and ensures that we are accountable for keeping each other safe. She's very knowledgeable and communicates daily with the site administrator, office, staff, school nurses. Her communication with parents is compassionate, precise, and professional. She's developed strong positive relationships with the students she sees on a daily basis. Her expertise and kind words are the healing balm that makes everything better. Kind words and ice soothe all sorts of hurts. We are a better school because of her. I believe Vanessa Wells is the epitome of an employee making a difference. Thank you, Vanessa. I'd like to celebrate Debbie Moniz, office manager at Orchard. An office manager, AKA multitasking angel, is defined as someone who ensures everyone is happy and that everything runs smoothly. Debbie makes this very difficult job look super easy. She's earned our team's trust by keeping promises and following through no matter how mundane the task is. Her can-do attitude is infectious, and she is always willing to jump in and help, often putting in extra hours for the benefit of all. In addition to her daily duties of helping run the school, she takes time to develop relationships with every single student. It is these relationships that have made Orchard Elementary feel like a tight-knit community. The foundation that she has built with staff, students, and their families is an invaluable asset. Her handprints are literally part of Orchard's foundation. Thank you, Debbie. Want to make sure people aren't texting me saying I can't hear you. No one's saying that so far, so okay. Michelle Lee, campus supervisor at Sherwood. Michelle is new to her campus supervisor role and is truly knocking it out of the park. Her dedication to our Sherwood community is apparent in all of her daily actions. She greets our students, staff, and families every morning with a welcoming smile, saying good morning, and uses their names. During the day, she's seen all over campus, assisting where needed and ensuring our campus is safe, orderly, and clean. There is never a time you will interact with her when she is not positive and solution-oriented. She is a leader on our campus and seen as a trusted adult to our students and a team player to all of our staff. Sherwood, whoop, whoop. I hope I did that service. Okay. Melissa Gutierrez, noon duty. Oh, sorry. Yeah, whoop, whoop was the finale. Okay. Melissa Gutierrez, noon duty at Standiford. Melissa is the best. She is passionate about kids and shows each day she comes into work with a smile on her face, and she's always ready for a shark-tastic day. She engages the students each day, supporting them using specific second step SEL strategies. She schedules organized activities during recesses to teach the rules of the game and provide coaching and guidance. She gets down to the level and takes the time needed to show students that she cares. She also recognizes students frequently by giving them super shark tickets to acknowledge them for doing their best or dealing with the situation using their shark skills. We thank you, Melissa. Denise Meyer, office manager at Stalker Coffee. Denise is usually the first person you meet at Stalker Coffee. She encounters all visitors with a smile and a grand welcome. Her knowledge of procedures and systems keeps the office running smoothly. Denise connects with children and their families and makes them feel valued and heard. In the office, her sense of humor keeps things light, and she's a great partner when it comes to planning celebrations for students and staff. Denise makes a difference in the lives of our students, families, and staff through her care and commitment. She is truly a Stalker Coffee superstar. Thank you to Denise. You know, we have 19. We are celebrating so many amazing people. So yay, thank you for that extra cheer. I need a breath break. Okay. Cindy Geary, staff secretary at Woodrow. In her role, Cindy has the ability to handle tricky phone calls with patience and understanding. What makes Cindy special is the way she's able to keep things light in the office with her wit and humor, even in difficult circumstances. She takes on many tasks with a cheerful attitude. Cindy's efforts to keep Woodrow's office running smoothly and efficiently make a difference to the students, staff, and parents during a truly unconventional school year. She's amazing. Her positive nature is appreciated, and the Woodrow Wildcats adore her. Thank you, Cindy. And another Cindy, Cindy Davidson, library media assistant at Savage Middle School. When you hear people describe someone as the heart of the school, we think of Cindy Davidson, our library clerk. There have been a number of overwhelming challenges during the pandemic, and Cindy has supported us in solving all of them. She organized our drive-through, pickup distributions for curriculum, changing our student login process, has supported our students in the library with online book reservations, as well as just in-person support and so many others. She is always kind, willing to help, and supports all of our site tasks related to students and staff to keep things running efficiently and smoothly. Savage is capital, all capital, extremely lucky to have such a positive member on our team. Thank you, Cindy Davidson. We'd like to celebrate Lisa Burse, office manager at USTAC. Lisa Burse is more than an office manager at USTAC Middle School. It's an honor to recognize her as she is kind, generous, and works hard to run the school effectively. She is the woman behind the curtain. All USTAC staff members feel comfortable speaking with her. She remains calm in difficult situations, and she's a problem solver. The school runs efficiently because of her efforts and willingness to make sure jobs get done. With the overwhelming challenges and changes education has gone through, she's remained positive and assisted everyone at USTAC. Lisa is the heart of USTAC. Thank you, Lisa. All right, Steve Rocha at the warehouse. To say that Steve Rocha's role in the district is critical would be a huge understatement. In addition to the regular delivery of inter-district mail, curriculum, health department, special education supplies, the list was very long. I had to shorten it a little bit. The district warehouse has also become an integral part of Sylvan's response to the COVID pandemic. Virtually every item of PPE, hand sanitizer, disinfectant, rubber gloves, etc., have passed through the warehouse on its way out to sites. Steve has stepped up and handled this completely unforeseen and immense increase to the workload without skipping a beat. I'm honored to nominate Steve Rocha as the M&O's employee making a difference. Thank you, Steve. Mary Ingerbitson Shaw, Nutrition Services. She was nominated by both Mike Maskey and Brenda Flores. Mary is a dedicated nutrition service professional that truly makes a difference every day. During the 2021 school year, Mary provided grab-and-go meals to students attending in-person instruction as well as distributing them to the community. She did this every day, rain or shine. As we struggle to find substitutes and cover absences, Mary continues to show up every day faithfully. She has had perfect attendance for the entire 2021 school year and has not even missed a day in 21-22. She's always willing to do whatever it takes to ensure all the students receive their meals every day, and she does it with a positive attitude. We thank you, Mary. Carolyn Levine, bus driver, transportation in the house. All right, so Carolyn has a pep to her step wherever she goes. She's always willing to take on any new task, whether it's assisting with the route, sanitizing buses, helping in the office. She approaches these duties with zest and vigor. Carolyn also takes her bus driving position very seriously and keeps safety at the forefront of her mind at all times. Carolyn's a skilled driver who notices the little things that could turn into big things, and she's willing to invest that extra time and effort to ensure the student's safety and well-being. She is pleasant, kind, and an absolute pleasure to work with. We thank you, Carolyn. All right, Audrey Agundez, Staff Secretary for Special Education at the district office. She joined the department last year. She has a smile and a laugh, and she's calming, and even when you're feeling stressed. Audrey works in SACE, one of the systems, and CalPADS, another system, to correct the errors that show up. This also requires her to work with SELPA and SACE help desk to find the answers to even the more difficult errors. Correcting these errors keep us compliant with the state. Audrey works closely with all of the program specialists, the director, all the staff. And this year she's even taken on the medical LEA, I'm going to say program. Audrey has quickly learned what we need to do and gets everything needed together for meetings. She's amazing. No, she's a rock star. We thank Audrey. All right, we'd like to celebrate Carrie Monroe, the library media assistant at Sylvan STEAM Academy. Carrie's been part of the Sylvan STEAM family for the last 7 years. She is more than the wonderful librarian that our students look forward to visiting weekly. She adds so much more to the culture of our campus. Ms. Monroe opens her doors to the students at all the breaks so they have a quiet place to read and enjoy. Several years ago, she also helped implement the Imagination Lab in the library. In the Imagination Lab, students can explore with Legos, games, and draw if they need an alternative to the traditional playground activities. Above all, Ms. Monroe creates relationships with the students, teachers, and people she interacts daily with. Carrie Monroe, we thank you. All right, so we'd like to celebrate Sue Crook, nominated by Sarah Calderon, Supervisor of Child Care, and Sue is a child care aide. Sue has been a valuable part of the child care team for many years. Those that know Sue know that she always has a smile on her face and a laugh that just warms your heart. She goes above and beyond with her compassion and generosity for all. She continues to do all that she can for our kiddos. In interacting with our children, her words and voice are the gentle touch our students need on their most difficult days. You will always see Sue playing a game, reading a story, coloring a picture with the students. She interacts and builds relationships with all of our children. Sue is a pleasure to work with, and child care appreciates her and all that she does. We thank you, Sue. All right, and last but not least, we have our Carol Smith, who is our district office business services specialist, nominated by Lisette Aguilar and everyone else. here at the district office. Carol Smith is an integral part of the business services team and honestly, the district office culture and place. She provides invaluable supports for a wide range of operations at the district office and the daily operations of the school sites. Carol takes care of so many behind the scenes needs that can go unnoticed but are so critical to our operations. As she carries out her duties, Carol does it in an organized, efficient, reliable manner that is exemplary. If you want something done and you want it done well, you can always count on Carol. Carol is also a solutions-oriented individual, thinking of different alternatives and things to consider. Carol also brings the perspective of the site operations, as she was a former office manager. Carol is the epitome of a conscientious and compassionate employee with a sincere spirit of service. Carol Smith, we thank you. So if you can please join me in giving our nominees another well-deserved round of applause. Thank you for celebrating with us. And again, we want to share our deepest thanks and gratitude for your service and commitment to our students, families, and staff. And we appreciate you.
Thank you so much. We do appreciate everything you guys have done and obviously can continue to do. And thank you, everybody. And woo woo! I have a little confetti here. It's virtual to not make a mess. So yay, good job. Fantastic. Thank you so much, everybody, for the nominations. Thank you, everybody, for being online for part of that. And thank you, Ms. Peterson, for reading all those really fun little factoids. Yeah, those are really cute. Thank you so much. We are going to move on. So thank you. We're going to do next one, COVID one-time funds update. We do have a one speaker card. Okay, we did have one speaker card, but the person decided not to be a speaker. So thank you for that information. So we will go on to the presentation. Thank you. Good evening. I'll be going over the COVID funding report that you receive on a regular basis. So I just want to go over a few of the highlights. We did have quite a bit of activity for this report. So all the figures that are in the red font you'll see there are the ones that have been updated since your last report. So you see we have quite a bit of red there, starting from the blue shading down. Up in the green, there wasn't any changes as those funds have been spent. If you look at the third column over that says remaining, you see those three are zeros. So those have been already fully spent. So just looking at our, I'll go over the overall totals. If you look at the first column is our allocation. That's the amount of funds that are allocated to our district from the state. And so we're looking at just over 35,392,000 of allocation on the various different pots of funding that we have listed here. As we've discussed, these are very different pots here with some different restrictions. They're listed there. You have a brief description of some of the allowable uses. But then if you look at the next column over the spent amount, you see the total there of 15,549,000. That is from the beginning of the receiving these funds to now. That's how much we have spent. And then you look at the remaining, that third column over of the dollars. We're looking at just over 19,842,000 that we have remaining. So we have not spent quite half of these funds when you look at the overall totals. And then over on the far right for the receipt of funds there, you have a total for each of the individual funds. I have the percentage of how much we've received for each of those. But then overall, I've listed a dollar amount just so we can compare how much we've received versus how much we've spent. So you see overall 19,662,000 received versus we've spent 15.5 million. So we've received more than we've spent. So this is something you'll recall I added as a question came up from board on this particular item. And then on the bottom,
There's just a summary by the timeline. I did have some updates to some of those dates just to match up. I hadn't updated some of them to coincide with all the timelines that are listed up above. So those are all updated. And the copy that's on the agenda line is the most recent. And then the next page, as you know, that details out when you look at this total 15.5 million that I went over that we've spent. This gives in different categories and some descriptions, just to give a general sense overall of how we've utilized this 15.5 million. And then underneath you have the same summary of just the different funds that make up the 35 million that we are allocated from the state, and then again, remaining 19.8 million. Are there any questions on this? Okay. Ms. Miyakawa, do you have any questions? Okay, anybody in the boardroom have questions? No questions, just really good, nice report. Thank you, very clear. Thank you so much. Thank you. Next up is review board policy administrative regulations. 6173, education for homeless children. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So I have presented the draft copies for revisions that are necessary for policy, the board policy and administrative regulations 6173, and that's education for homeless children. So this is your first look at it, and it's just bringing it up to date to comply with all the regulations.
Thank you. Are there any questions at this time? Comments? I see none. Thank you so much. Oh, got one. Thank you.
Yeah, you know, Ms. Albert, you shared with me at Christmas time that homeless I was under the impression that homeless meant homeless, but that doesn't necessarily mean it. Could you maybe clarify that so that everybody understands that? what that is?
Sure. And also, one of the things that is also getting upgraded with this is our intake forms for homeless children. We have had forms in the past, but this is just even more in depth because a homeless student could be a student who is, let's say, living in a car, does not have any kind of shelter, or maybe are in homeless shelters, but it also includes those people who are doubling up, even potentially with family members, if they're doubling up due to financial hardship, and it is a temporary living situation. So basically, you're considered homeless if you don't have a fixed permanent nighttime residence. So that it could look like a hotel, it could look like, like what we normally see, a shelter in cars, it could be doubling up with families and those kind of things, yes.
I guess my question is, I know that we do a lot for those children. If they are living in a home with a family, do we also take care of the children of the family, or do we just take care of those children that are in that home?
So the students who actually have the right to those services would be actually the homeless student and their family. Could there be some indirect benefits for the other family? That's hard to say, but really, we want to make sure that we're targeting those family members of the homeless family and doing everything we can to help them get more of a fixed permanent residence.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lindsay. Any additional questions? All right, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Moving on, trustee boundary and redistricting information. Thank you. I'll be covering that. So this is, and you may recall, we received a letter from our Stanislaus County regarding this requirement. This is a requirement for school districts to review our trustee boundary areas. And this is required to be done every 10 years or after the census to look at the population and make adjustments as necessary. Just give you an overall sense of I'm going back up. The purpose is to review the population, review the boundary areas, and ensure fair representation among the population and for the trustee elections. And so what they do is look at the total population and split it up evenly among however many seats. In our case, we have 5 seats. And so try to, and that becomes the target population when you split that up evenly among the total population among the 5. So let's just say, you know, it's 100, we divvy it up in 5, the target population would be 20, for example. And so then that's the target. And then they look at what was the actual population for each area based on that last census. And if we're within 10% is kind of the rule of thumb that's used. If we're within 10% of that, then it's not required that the areas get adjusted. And so we have spoken to SchoolWorks. They're a demographer who specializes in this work and doing some initial analysis of looking at our information. It appears that we, based on the census results and our data, we would not require any changes to be made. But you will see that I have an action item further in the agenda to present a agreement to work with SchoolWorks so they can do the full in-depth analysis and bring the results to our upcoming February 1st meeting, just to confirm that and present that information to the board. And if there are no requirements to make any changes, no further action would be required from the board. That would complete the process. We would then just inform the county of that. So that's what the process looks like. You'll see that the agreement that is further, like I mentioned in the agenda, consists of the initial, of a 2-part, the initial analysis, which is $2,000. And then if there were to make changes were required, that will be additional fee. So we anticipate at this time, like I said, that wouldn't be required, but that would be brought to you as information to the February 1st agenda. So this is just kind of provide you all that background information and prepare you for 1, that action item, and then 2, for the upcoming information you'll receive on February 1st. Okay. Are there any questions? Oh, and there's also just an FAQ that I put together and will be posted on our website as well, just to share that process and what all this is about with the public, because this should all be done in a transparent manner as much as possible. So we'll put that information out there on our website. Any questions?
Yes, I was just wondering, does this apply to all elected officials or just school board members?
It applies to all districts, like even the county, they had to do that for the county supervisors. They went through that whole process. So yeah, it's all school districts, counties, and I think it's city council. Yeah, I believe it's all the elected officials.
So like say if you were on the mosquito abatement board, would that be people that would be included in this?
I'm not sure on that.
I just wondered
but
how far down it trickles.
Yeah.
Or if we're down at the bottom and it trickles. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I'm not sure, but that's something that I could ask SchoolWorks.
Just wondered
And they
how,
could-
I just wondered who all it really, you know, zeroes in on, because there's so many elected positions in the
Mhm.
county, and I didn't know if it was all of them or if it's just.
I would
selected
imagine,
few.
because the point is to update those areas as population changes over time. So I would imagine that it encompasses those, but yeah, I couldn't tell you to be sure, to be
Okay,
honest.
thank you.
Ms. McCall? Okay. All right. Thank you. Excuse me, safety and facilities update, board questions? So I don't know if there's any questions, but I have included the final report. That's one of the other ones I sent you, Mark, you can pull that up. Just the final report for USAC, including the locker room cost, which the replacement of the lockers you'll see listed there was at $77,363. So I've added into this total now. So you can see the overall cost at just over 11 million, 11,410,000. And then that would put us 61,649 over on this whole project overall. So that's the final report on USAC. Are there any questions?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, thank you so much. So with the carpet, they have come back with a proposal to replace that, and they'd like to replace it with the carpet tiles that they used in the first phase. I think the reason that they are requesting or recommending that, one, they've had very good success with those in terms of just the durability and the ability to change those out as needed if you have trouble, down the road. And two, I think at the time currently, they were trying to work through, the subcontractor was trying to work with the carpet company to just come out and replace that, but they wanted them to go out and try to do the repairs again. So we said, no, we are not interested in more repairs at this time. We want a full replacement. And so in lieu of, working through that carpet provider, because they were wanting them to do another repair, then they recommend these going with the carpet tiles, which the architect said that was, a product that they've had success with, they've seen. We used that, if you remember, because in that first phase, the carpet wasn't, they weren't able to get the carpet. And we did use some of those tiles in that first phase. And I checked with the site and they have not had any issues with any of that type of carpet that they put in that first phase. So that's their recommendation at the time. I see that you have some questions on there, and I'm happy to take those. I want to take that input back to them so we can continue those discussions.
I'm so sorry. Can Mr. Raw please turn on his mic?
I hope I'm not gonna owe you any money. I'm a little concerned with the carpet tiles. On all of our other school sites, we use sheet carpeting like this. It's not carpet tiles. Like when we did Somerset, we didn't use carpet tiles. And when we've gone throughout the whole district, we haven't used carpet tiles. So I'm not really excited. Well, I'm not sure why we would want to switch to carpet tiles. Why would we do that when we've not really used that product in a long time? I know you said we used a little bit of it at UStack, and quite frankly, I don't recall that, but I don't know how that one slipped by me, because I was thinking we use the regular rolled carpet in the big rolls, and I'm not sure why are they against using that? It's clear they got a defective product, but that doesn't mean all rolled carpet in the United States is defective carpet. That was defective carpet. So anyway, that part of the puzzle doesn't make sense to me. If it was me and I was making the decision, I would say no, we want rolled carpet. I mean, why would we go for carpet tiles?
Mrs. Lindsay, can you please turn on your mic?
No, I have such a loud mouth. We used that at UStack years ago, and you could walk in and you could see where it would be picked at the corners, and it would be rolling up in places, and it's not a good thing to have in a school. I mean, it might be fine in a home, but it's not a good thing to have in a school where there's students that are bored and might have a little time to pick at the corners and pull them up. I mean, each and every one of those are easy to come up because they can be replaced, but no, not good for a school. We already been there, did that.
I'm not, this is the input I expected to receive from you, so I'm not surprised to hear that. To your point, Mr. Raw, that's not our district standard. We have a district standard that's not what that is at the time. So I'd be happy to go back and with that response and say, this is not our district standard. We asked for our district standard and a replacement of what we put in, and we're not interested in the tile, so I can definitely go back with that, and continue to work with them in the process. I'm sorry? Cement.
Sorry, that was the carpet, now
So
the cement.
sorry, so with the cement, we are, working with them in the process. We went out and had a meeting with the subcontractor, the architect, and, the contractor. We're out there for several hours walking. The subcontractor, has indicated there is a tremendous amount of, I mean, evidence by all the cracks and everything that's going on that is really unexplainable in so many of the areas that they saw and in their experience that they noted. They genuinely feel that it is a problem of movement happening, and see, some of those just have no logical reason why they would be cracking where they are and crossing over into areas. But that being said, let me tell you that, I mean, they were out there, the owner of the subcontractor company was out there with us and, said, we want to work with you. We want to make good faith to make this right. And this is really kind of going above and beyond as how they felt. Because none of this looks like it's anything due to the way that they did it, the way that they installed it. It just looks like a lot of a natural, looking at like our concrete that we have out there, which is a lot, and they added a whole lot more, as you know, is just natural movement. So, I mean, we didn't get into too much down that road, really. He was expressing that, but regardless, like I said, he still, wants to make things right and work with us. And we did go through and mark many of the areas where we'll go and do some cutouts and replace some of that concrete in the areas where they are the worst conditions, and others where they will come in with some product, and I'll get you the specifics on it. I don't remember off the top of my head, to fix some of the more minor cracking that we have. But there's quite a bit of areas, and they marked them up all on the site map, and are in the process of identifying all those, and I can share that in a future Friday update to give you the specifics of what those areas are, where they will be doing, like I said, cutouts and replacing the concrete. But I just want to express what he did say about that. To him, that was beyond their installation, and he felt like they're kind of going above and beyond, but that's what they, that's the kind of company that they are, and he feels that he wants to work with us to do that. So so that's where we are, and I can provide some more specifics.
Okay. You have a tough job. You have a tough job. I've been in this rodeo and watched this before. In my former life, I worked as a controller for a development company. We had this exact same problem on a project. And there was a whole lot of who shot John. And the problem is it had to be ripped out and replaced. And the second time it was ripped out and replaced, it was beautiful. The first time it was a hot mess. And there's a lot of finger pointing, but we hired a contractor and he hired a subcontractor, and I don't know about the legalities, and we'll have to determine this, whether our contract is with the general contractor or with the subcontractor. I'm not really sure on this because it was a lease back, and so I'm not really sure of did we have a contractual relationship with the contractor or with the subcontractor. Whoever it is, they have a wonderful product that they all buy, and it's called errors and emissions insurance that will fully cover this. they don't want to turn it into their insurance agency because their premiums go up and no contractor wants to pay additional insurance premiums. But it is covered. I really am not for us patching this. I don't know who's responsible, but I do know they're fully insured. I know the subcontractor couldn't get on the job without his errors and omissions, and I know the general couldn't. So whoever it is just needs to put their big boy pants on, own up to it, and contact their insurance company and say, look, we got a catastrophic failure on our hands. The job I particularly had, we found out who was in error. It was actually the concrete mixing company. It was the mix on those days and with the weather, and that it was like a perfect storm. So I've been in that rodeo before, but nonetheless, it has to be replaced. And when it's replaced correctly, I don't know if it's a compaction problem. I don't know if they put down the right metal webbing and rebar. I don't know if it was the mix. I don't know if it was the those who laid it down, or if it was the temperature on the day or the moisture in the air. It could be 5 or 6 different things. All I know is we were the consumer. We paid for a finished good product, and for us to settle for anything less would not be protecting the best interest of the taxpayer who paid for that. I know that as a homeowner, I would tell the contractor, nah, it's not gonna work. You're gonna have to take that out and fix it. And I think I know that that's strong language, but we've laid a lot of concrete over at Dan Savage Middle School. As Jennifer Miyakawa says, did she call it a concrete jungle? I don't know, but she's not happy with how much concrete. But the concrete turned out fine there. So it can be done correctly. So I suggest we not give up on this and allow a patch job. I say we hold firm, and if you want me to stand there and hold you up while you give the information, I'll put my hands on your back and keep you standing, and tell them that's not going to cut it for us. So I hate to play hardball, but we've been very patient, and we've known from day one that we had a crack problem and we had a popping problem on that concrete, and we should not settle for this.
Miss Lindsay?
The other thing was that is, first of all, yeah, we don't want patching. But even when we do it, we need to make sure that soil is dry, because we've had so much rain and so much moisture this winter that we don't want to be pouring concrete when the soil is not, we have hard pan in this valley, and it holds water, down to 2 feet below, but that can come up real quick. And so we need to be sure that the soil is dry before we lay any concrete down, because it's just not going to cure. It's not going to cure right. And you know that, and they know that. So yeah, no, they're not. Just not. It's not going to fly.
Miss Miyakawa? Any comments? No, not this time. All right, thank you so much. So no carpet tiles and replace the cement. How's that? Okay, got it. Okay. Thank you so much. We are moving on to action items. It is 9 o'clock. We do normally have a hard stop at 10. So, okay, we're gonna move quick. Approval of demographic services construction from Schoolworks Inc. for trustee boundary analysis.
And I am on a roll here. I spoke of this earlier. This is the agreement with Schoolworks to do the trustee boundary analysis. And we do have Ken from Schoolworks there to answer any questions that the board may have.
Motion's been made by Mr. Ross, seconded. Second by Ms. Talcott. All those in favor, roll call vote, please.
Board Member Lindsay. Board Member Miyakawa.
Aye.
Board Member Raw. I don't know if I can't hear anybody. Board Member Talcott, Board President Harvey,
Everyone agreed in aye. Did you hear me? Aye. We have a bunch of ayes over here.
thank you.
Thank you so much. The motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Reynolds, for coming. Thank you.
All right, have a good evening.
Approval for 2021 school accountability report cards.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion's been made by Mr. Rob,
Second.
second by Ms. Talcott. All those in favor?
No roll call.
Board Member Lindsay,
Roll call. Aye.
Board Member Miyakawa,
Aye.
Board Member Raw,
Aye.
Board Member Talcott,
Aye.
Board President Harvey,
Aye, the motion carries. Thank you. Approved revised classified salary schedule for minimum wage increase for 2022. So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made by Miss Lindsay and seconded by Mr. Lau. Roll call vote.
Board Member Lindsay.
Aye.
Board Member Miyakawa,
Aye.
Board Member Raw,
Aye.
Board Member Talcott,
Aye.
Board President Harvey,
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Approved classified substitute salary schedule 21-22.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion's been made by Mr. Ross, seconded by Ms. Talcott. Roll call vote.
Board Member Lindsay,
Aye.
Board Member Miyakawa,
Aye.
Board Member Raw,
Aye.
Board Member Talcott,
Aye.
Board President Harvey,
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Approved, sorry, that was already done. My apologies. Approval of purchase of shade structures equipment for Ustack Middle School, Mary Ann Sanders Elementary, and Sylvan Steve.
This is mine, and we've been discussing the shade structure project for these three sites. At the November meeting, the board gave approval to move forward, and I indicated that would start the process. I would bring back to you the actual purchase of the shade structures themselves, which this is the item for that, for a total equipment cost of $417,470.12. And with that, there was a slight change from what we discussed for the total cost estimate we had from the architect. That change is for the location of the shade structure at Sylvan Elementary. If you recall, we discussed that. We looked at the site maps, and the initial proposal for that was to have it on the more southern part of the campus, closer to the parking lot. And after input and discussion with staff and administration, the recommendation is to move that to the central part of campus, right in the middle there. And that would have some additional site work costs there for removal of grass and pouring of the pad there. So that brings the cost estimate up to $786,000 for the overall project estimate, which would include this 417 of the shade structures and all the associated soft costs, architects, etc. For this project. I'm happy to take any questions. Mr. Rowe?
Yeah, I'd like to make the motion to approve, but I'm adding a caveat on that I still personally believe that the USTAC project should have 3 shade structures on it. So I would like to move this forward so we get the ball rolling, so I can approve this. And be patient with me as a board member as I will make an appointment to go over with necessary staff to be convinced that we don't need the 3rd one, and then you'll never hear from me again on it. But if I still think about it, I would bring it back and say, I still think we need the 3rd one. But as of for tonight, I'd like to move forward with what we have. So I'll make a motion to approve. So
I think it was included up to 3, right? It's
no,
up to
but
3.
they decided against the 3rd one in this. And I'm just saying to keep it moving.
Oh, in Friday update, it said up to 3.
So the submittal to DSA includes up to 3. This order request is for 2 as of right now.
Oh, let's move it up to 3. I'm in favor of moving 3.
I think what they want us to do is just go look at it. So let's approve it as directed here. And then we can go look and then bring back for a third if we need it. We can do it within the next week or 2. But I want to get this thing moving. We need to get these shade sessions ordered. The sun's coming out.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve, but also a motion to add a new agenda item to take a look and maybe add a third. Is that correct? Okay, so the motion's been made by Mr. Rao and seconded by Ms. Talcott. Roll call vote.
Board Member Lindsay. Board Member Miyakawa.
Aye.
Board Member Raw.
Aye.
Board Member Talcott.
Aye.
Board President Harvey.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you. Sunshine. Thank you. Gracefully through the shade structure. Okay, thank you so much. Adoption of resolution 21-22 National School Counselor Week. So
Yeah, so National School Counseling Week is February 7th through the 11th, 2022, and this is to focus public attention on the unique contributions that the school of the school counselor. The National School Counseling Week highlights the tremendous impact that school counselors can have in helping students achieve school success and plan for a career. So it's recommended that the board adopt the resolution number 14, recognizing February 7th through the 11th, 2022 as National School Counseling Week.
motion's been made by Ms. Talcott and seconded by Ms. Lindsay. Okay.
Board Member Lindsay.
Aye.
Board Member Miyakawa.
Aye.
Board Member Raw.
Aye.
Board Member Talcott.
Aye.
Board President Harvey.
Aye, motion's been made and carried. I'm sorry, the motion is carried. My apologies. All right, we have consent agenda. Is there anything here that needs to be discussed or removed? First, we'll go with discussed. Anything needs to be discussed? Okay, thank you. Anything need to be removed for a separate vote? All right, thank you. So I'm looking for, motion's been made by Ms. Lindsay to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Second by Ms. Talcott. Roll call vote.
Board Member Lindsay. Board Member Miyakawa.
Aye.
Board Member Raw.
Aye.
Board Member Talcott.
Aye.
Board President Harvey.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you so much. Future agenda items, we have our board retreat on January 25th.
Yes, and what I'd like to talk about that, wondering if we'd be able to make our board retreat a time for us to look at facilities and make that a facility workshop. Because I see things are moving along pretty quickly. And the board needs to have a chance to talk about facilities and.
You're talking about the new facilities, not the current facilities.
Right, new
Okay,
facility,
okay,
new
okay,
facilities, new
okay. For a minute, I
facilities.
thought you were talking about, let's go visit school sites, and I was like, whoa.
Oh, no. Mr. Roy, you want to talk any more about? some of the
No, I
ideas you
think
had?
we have a presentation that I've been getting, going through the approval process of all the powers that be for that. But I also think since we're going to be talking about facilities, that we get a little more information on what you plan to do about TK and kindergarten facilities as they come down the pike. Just building our plan of what we're going to be doing. I know that Lizette has information on potential money that might be coming for state that could be used for these facilities and others. So it might be a good idea. We could probably easily spend an hour on talking about facilities.
So I was thinking with the circumstances we're under, how we're doing this setup. Again, it was also a time we were going to talk about the CSBA workshop that we went to. I know that's something you've done traditionally. But anyway, it's totally up to the board what you'd like to do with that workshop. But we could set up like this in a workshop format and talk about new facilities and the facilities we're looking at for.
Are we gonna look at our goals or anything like that, or are we gonna? I mean, that's usually what we look at our retreat, so.
Well, Ms. Harvey and I have not had a chance to dig deeper into that. It's been.
But it's
pretty
usually
crazy.
something, it's usually something that we discuss when we get there. We discuss what direction we want to go.
No, this one specifically had been earmarked for talking about CSBA.
So the idea is that maybe we can give a little bit of time for CSBA and then the rest
You
of
do
the
an
time.
hour for facilities, an hour for CSBA. and we
Oh, I
can
don't
just-
think we need an hour first.
Okay, half hour. We could do a little lunch, dinner type thing, eat a little bit while we talk around and do it at dinner time.
So maybe each person would do a little quick 5-minute presentation on CSBA. And then we would then segue into facilities. Is that,
That way we can get
I'm seeing
both
nodding.
the needs of both that were.
Okay, Miss Lindsay?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, so we're in agreement. Do we need to vote on this or? No, okay,
No.
all right, great. All right, so the board retreat is going to be transfigurized into a facilities and mini board retreat to talk about CSBA. There was a lot of really great
And
presentations.
we're gonna do it here, right?
We're gonna
Just
do it
like this
here.
setup.
Yeah. we'll do
Time
this
is
setup,
TBA.
And we could do some goal
TBD.
discussing as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
no,
No,
We're gonna keep,
no, that's a different meeting.
oh, it is.
No, we don't do it. Can we have, can we go through the count, district, kitchen to get our meal that night? And then have it delivered like in the afternoon before the meeting that night?
Yeah. I'll talk
And then we,
about
District
that way
kitchen?
Everything will be sealed and we won't be bringing in foods from
Okay,
every
okay.
different place.
all right, district kitchen, mini CSBA, facilities, TK, got it. All right,
25th.
25th. The time? 6, 7, 6?
No.
Earlier?
No later than 6.
No earlier than 6? No later than 6, okay. So we think we need about an hour?
It's for you guys. We don't work, so
Guys are the ones that.
you guys, how early?
I
Like,
don't
we
whatever
can as early as
works for
5
you guys.
o'clock, or-
6 good for you? I work, John, if Eric works.
This, Miss Miyakawa, is 6 o'clock fine? All right, how about, is 6 o'clock fine for you guys?
That's fine with me.
That okay? All right, we'll just 6 for planning for 1 hour.
Okay.
1 hour and 15 minutes. What?
Is there enough time for?
No, good. grief.
Facilities, I think we can easily in 45 minutes to an hour max.
Okay. And then if each board member does a 5-minute presentation, we can do it while you're talking, while we're eating, then,
We should be out of there by 8, right?
okay, so 1 hour and 15 minutes.
Okay.
Okay,
We'll do that, right?
all right,
And I'll
that'll be
touch
the goal.
base with- and I'll touch base with you.
Okay, great. So we also have a special board meeting budget session on February 1st. We also have a next board meeting on February 1st. Thank you so much. We really appreciate all the time and energy you guys put into making our schools amazing for our students. For social, emotional, academic, just having fun. I mean, these are kids. So I see it, I hear the giggles. So thank you. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for working this scenario out where the board can actually meet. I think it's fantastic.
And yes, thank you. Mr. Ross said, thank you for having this situation so we can have the board meet in person, but still protect our staff and our community. So thank you so much. So thank you, and we will see you all at next meeting. So meeting's adjourned. Thank you.